What's up, guys? We're the Sports Addicts podcast. Today we have a special video previewing the MLB season. MLB season starts Thursday, July 23rd, and it's the first major sports league to start after the coronavirus hiatus. So we decided to give you guys a special preview on what we think are the playoff predictions and World Series teams and winner. So,
Okay, so
Sai, what are your thoughts for the National League?
starting with the National East, I have the Atlanta Braves winning the division. I have the Atlanta Braves winning this division because they picked up some good players in the free agency pool this offseason, which feels like a long time ago, including reliever Will Smith from the San Francisco Giants and also Marcelo Ozuna, who came from the St. Louis Cardinals. And I feel like this Braves team with superstar Ronald Acuna and Freddie Freeman, who's really underrated, the best first baseman in baseball, along with Ozzie Albies, and a really good starting rotation. I feel like this Braves team can go a long way in the playoffs, and I feel like the rest of the teams, even though the Nationals were the World Series champions last season, I feel like the Braves are going to overtake them this year for the division. So moving on to the NL Central, I have the Cincinnati Reds taking the division in a little bit of a shocker. So Cincinnati this year, they picked up a lot of good players in free agency, really underrated signings, including Nicholas Castellanos, who hits bombs in many places other than Detroit. And I feel like another underrated signing that went under the radar is Mike Moustakas at second base, and I feel like he provides a big power bat to to Braves lineup, and they already had a rising star in Aristides Aquino last year, who hit, everyone knows, who hit bombs after he got brought up in August. And I feel like they're just along with the losses from the Brewers, losses of players in the Brewers and the Cardinals just not improving, and the Cubs as well. I feel like the Reds are going to take the Central. So moving on to the NL West, I have obviously the Los Angeles Dodgers winning the division. So the Dodgers have the most talent in MLB. They picked up Mookie Betts in the offseason and David Price. Their rotation's pretty much perfect with Kershaw and Buehler. I feel like they're the most depth of a lineup, and even if someone goes down with COVID-19, I feel like they have the people to back them up. And I feel like the rest of the teams, the Giants, the Padres, the Diamondbacks, who are pretty sneaky this year, and I feel like the Rockies are pretty much no chance for the Dodgers in the West. So in the wild card,
One thing is that David Price is not playing. He opted out.
yeah, that's true. Okay, so and now moving on to the fourth seed in the wild card, I actually have the New York Mets making the playoffs. So the New York Mets, although Noah Syndergaard went down this season, I feel like their rotation is still one of the best in baseball. With the Cy Young last year's Jacob deGrom, along with inconsistent Marcus Stroman, who was good with the Mets last year. And I feel like if their bullpen, which was a disaster last year with Edwin Diaz and Julius Familia being horrendous, I feel like the Mets can rebound this year with a really good lineup. I feel like Yoenis Cespedes coming back after, I think, a 2-year hiatus from baseball itself is going to help them out at the DH position. And I feel like their young players, Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, and JD Davis, and people like that, are going to help them get to the fourth wildcard spot. And for the fifth wildcard spot in the NL National League, I have the Milwaukee Brewers just beating out the Cardinals and the Cubs for the fifth spot. So in the for the NL last wildcard, I have the Brewers, and the Brewers basically lost a lot of players this offseason. They lost Yasmani Grandal, one of the second best catcher in baseball, to the White Sox, and also lost, obviously, second baseman Mike Moustakas to the Reds. Those losses are pretty big, but I feel like the Brewers, they picked up some really good pieces that went under the radar that are good role players to help to build around their superstar Christian Yelich. So I feel like the Brewers, they picked up catcher Omar Narvaez, who can help them replace the Grandal loss, and then they picked up Avisai Garcia, who can be a great position at right field, so Brian Braun can play DH this season. And I feel like the bullpen is really key in the 60-game season, and the Brewers have the top. I believe that the Brewers have a top 5 bullpen in the NL this year. So I feel like they have a good shot of making the playoffs, even though starting pitching always lacks every year. So, and the Brewers, they're getting another good addition. They're getting back from last year, who was injured, is Corey Knebel. So he was a big addition that was missing last year, and he's a good bullpen arm for the Brewers, that can help them out this season. And the one dark horse team I have that I have in the NL this year is that obviously it's not really a dark horse per se, but it's most people are getting more known to this team. It's the Arizona Diamondbacks. So the Diamondbacks, they picked up Madison Bumgarner, one of the best pitchers in the National League this season, and they also picked up Starling Marte at center field. I feel like this Diamondback team always goes under the radar, and their lineup is incredible. I feel like their bullpen, which is I feel like really important in the 60-game season, because people are going to use like the crazy amount of arms out of the bullpen. I feel like the Diamondbacks bullpen is just a little weak, which is why I have them falling out of the playoff hunt. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, one interesting thing was you did not include the defending champions, the Washington Nationals. I think the Nationals are going to be at least a wild card team. I have them winning the division, but at worst, I understand at least a wild card team. They have Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, and Juan Soto. I mean, that trio is very very strong. And
Yeah,
yes, the NL
they have a
East
good
is very
team, but I feel
competitive.
like last year most of their players out overperformed, and the loss of Anthony Rendon really hurts. He's the most consistent hitter in baseball, in my opinion. And I feel like people like Howie Kendrick, who went off last year, I feel like this year they won't have the same production.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I just the NL East is going to be very competitive, so it wouldn't be a huge surprise, but it is a pretty bold take. So moving on to the AL American League, I have the first seed. I have the Yankees. I think they're pretty much the most talented team in the AL besides the Astros. They have talent everywhere. Garrett Cole is probably the best pitcher in baseball. They have Aroldis Chapman, who consistently throws triple digits as a closer, and we all know they've got Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, DJ LeMahieu. I mean, the list just goes on and on. One thing to look at is that in a 60-game season, teams that have a lot of quality depth will not need it as much as in previous seasons where they play 162 games. So with so much top-end talent for the
Well, I
Yankees,
feel
I
like
think
they
they'll
do need the
they'll
depth in case like
comfortably
some
get.
guys go down, right? With like
Yeah, they
COVID.
do need the depth, but they still have a lot of quality players that are backups. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
Miguel Andujar, uh, Clint Frazier, those guys will not get much starting time, but if there were to happen to be an injury, they would fill in formidably. For the second seed, I have the Houston Astros. Pretty straightforward here. There won't be any banging of the trash cans this season, but talent is too much for them to suffer a big setback. I think the biggest key is Jordan Alvarez. He burst onto the scene last year with 27 home runs in just a few games. I think about a half the season. If he can continue to play the way like he played last year, he's just 23 years old. So if he can continue to be a solid middle of the lineup bat, I think they'll pose a good threat to the Yankees. In the third seed, I have the Houston Twins. I think the AL Central is probably the weakest division of the six in baseball right now, but they added Josh Donaldson, who came off a really strong season with the Braves, and they still have a lot of quality hitters. I think they had a lot of hitters who hit more than 20 plus home runs last year, and almost all of them are returning. So I think they'll round out that third seed in the AL. For the first spot in the wild card, I have the LA Angels. LA Angels added Anthony Rendon, who's probably the biggest free agent fish in the market this off season. They obviously have the best player in baseball with Mike Trout, and Shohei Ohtani, who came back from Tommy John surgery, is going to be the designated hitter, and I think he's going to be pitching also. So that trio is going to be very very strong. We still can't forget they have Albert Pujols at first base, Aldrelton Simmons, who's probably the best defensive player period in baseball. So I think they'll take the fourth seed. For the fifth seed, I have the Tampa Bay Rays. I think Blake Snell and Charlie Morton are two very quality pitchers. They'll keep the defense up to a quality championship level team. And then obviously the hitters, they added Jose Martinez from the Cardinals, and we still have Kevin Kiermaier and Austin Meadows who can really hit well. I think the one dark horse team to look for are the Oakland Athletics. In my opinion, the Athletics are a better team than the Rays, but in the 60-game season where the majority of the games are going to be divisional games, it's really tough to see three teams coming out of the same division to be in the playoffs. I think the thing to look out for is the pitching for the A's. They don't have any strong starters. They have Sean Manaea, but their two strongest pitchers after that are AJ Pook and Jesus Luzardo. Those two are rookie prospects who have not pitched much in their careers, and for them to be leaning on them as much as they're going to this season, I don't think it's going to turn out well. Um, my prediction for the World Series are the Yankees versus the Braves. I think the Yankees, it's pretty straightforward. They're the most talented team. They have very little weaknesses, if any. And I think the Braves are going to be my pick to represent the NL because the amount of top end talent they have. As I said earlier, there's not going to be much depth is not going to be as important as it is in previous seasons. But the amount of top end talent that the Braves have is one of the best in the league. As I said, they added All Star pitcher from the Giants, Will Smith, and we already know they have Ronald Acuna, who's one of the best rising stars in the game, as well as Freddie Freeman and Dansby Swanson. I think those three guys will definitely help that high power offense represent the National League. Between those two teams, I think the Yankees will pull it out in the end. They have a little bit more experience, and I think with Garrett Cole pitching 2 or 3 games, he's just going to shut down the Braves team, and they'll take the 2020 World Series.
Yeah, so I agree with your World Series prediction, but your playoff predictions to me are pretty bad, in my opinion. I feel like the LA Angels, I don't think they really have any shot of making the playoffs. I feel like just they have, like, I think in my opinion, 3 or 4 good players. Albert Pujols at this point of his career is washed, and he's just a big contract. He has a bigger contract than he has to play, and I feel like uh, Mike Trout, obviously the best player in baseball. You can't ignore him. Shohei Ohtani, and obviously Anthony Rendon. I feel like their starting pitching besides Shohei Ohtani is pretty bad. Like they added Julio Teheran. He's pretty much like a 4 ERA pitcher, and I feel like they don't have a real ace. Shohei Ohtani hasn't proved he can pitch a full season yet, so I feel like he's still a question mark. And if you move on to their bullpen, it's pretty bad as well. So I feel like the Angels, with the lack of pitching, I don't think they're gonna make it. And a couple teams you left out, I feel like you did mention the A's at the end as a dark horse. So I do agree the A's, obviously, they still need some pitching help. So if their pitchers do perform this year, they could easily make the playoffs. But a team that I feel like you're leaving out is the Cleveland Indians. And I feel like the Cleveland Indians this year, even though their name obviously is controversial because of everything happening around the world right now, I feel like the Indians last year underperformed more than they usually do because their star player, Jose Ramirez, who was in a slump and pretty much forgot to hit in the first half of the season, didn't wake up until the second half. And if you look at his second half numbers, he was hitting above 330 with like 9 home runs, I think, in the end of August. So I feel like if he continues his hot streak into the 60-game season, I feel like that Indians team with their great bullpen and great starting rotation, I feel like they can easily make their way into the wild card.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I'm worried about with the Indians is that their pitching. Their pitching is not much better than the A's. For
Actually,
the
it
Yankees,
is. If you
they
think about
traded
it,
their
if you
best
look at it,
pitcher,
they're
Trevor
getting a
Bauer, right?
healthy Carlos Carrasco, who was, I think, got cancer last year or something, or leukemia, I think, and he didn't pitch well last season. They did lose Corey Kluber, but he wasn't even a factor last season, and they made the. I think they just missed out of the playoffs last year, and they're getting a healthy Shane Bieber, who was a superstar last year and obviously won All-Star Game MVP. They had Mike Clevinger, who was pretty much a great pitcher before if he would have made the All-Star team if he didn't get injured. So I feel like their team is really underrated.
Yeah, I think those two wildcard positions are definitely up for grabs between those three teams. The Angels, yeah, all those three teams have a pretty significant weakness. But yeah, you're right. I think the Indians do have a shot if Jose Ramirez can recover from the slump and return to his 2018 form. What are your predictions for the World Series?
Yeah, so for World Series, I also do have the Yankees making it, and because obviously, because of the reasons you said, they have a great roster, and I feel like Stanton being healthy, Judge being healthy, is going to propel them to the top. In the NL, I actually have the Reds making the World Series. It might be a shocker, but I feel like their team is so well rounded. All around, their starting pitching: Trevor Bauer, Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray is like I think it's one of the top 3 pitching rotations in baseball, like behind like maybe the Nats with Scherzer, Strasburg, and Corbin. But I
Corbin,
feel like they're hitting as well. Like I feel like Nick Castellanos, they have like a really well-rounded lineup as well. So I feel like the Reds this year in a 60-game season, if they can just get hot, I feel like they can make a World Series.
yeah, but I understand. Yeah, I understand your argument with the Reds. It's just that I just don't. There's none other guys are proven. A lot of them are coming from different teams.
Yeah, they don't
Nicholas
have their like a
Castellanos,
superstar yet, but I feel like Eugenio Suarez last year proved that he can be a superstar in this league. So
Yeah. They're definitely a threat. But yeah, I think the Yankees will probably prevail this season. They
yeah, I
just
agree. I
got
think the
talent. They
Yankees are
have
young.
experience. Yeah, they have it all. So yeah, that's our predictions. And hope you guys enjoyed watching. Hopefully, you guys will tune into the MLB season before the NBA and NFL season starts. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.